Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Joe here. Got another Doodads here. I know this is getting a little boring, but I haven't had any big projects going on in the shop for quite a while, so I've just been, doing little clips here and there, and stringing them together into these Doodads videos. But the big news is that I'll be moving my shop pretty soon. Moving out of state, and just kind of been tied up with all that. So I don't think I'll be putting out a whole lot of videos. Maybe a couple more before I break the shop down. But I hope you guys will stick with me, and the new shop is going to be a lot bigger. Might actually be getting a Bridgeport, because instead of having a wooden floor, we're going to have a concrete slab. So anyways, that's the story on that. I'm going to get back to my encoder project here. I got the encoder cut down, and I got it bolted to the back of the lathe. And what I'm going to do now is I got a couple pieces of aluminum here, and I'm going to make the bracket that holds that connects from the apron to the little reader head. And then I'll have one axis here on the Y, which will be the X-axis on the lathe. Yeah, I do have another encoder. Where is it? I don't know, it's laying around here in the wreckage somewhere. But I've been debating on whether I want to put it on the Z-axis or not. You almost kind of don't need it because the dial's really accurate. So I'm going to think about that. But the X-axis definitely is worth having an encoder on it. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to use this box for a while, which is the Heidenhain reader. I do have a design in the works. Actually, I made a video of the prototype. I'll throw a clip in on this video showing it running this. But I got to build a box for it, and write some software and stuff like that. So it's kind of like on the back burner due to the shop move thing. But anyways, before we get totally broken down here, we'll definitely get the X-axis encoder on the lathe. So anyways, that's the scoop. Stay tuned for more news on the shop move. Alright, this is it. What I have here now is one channel of my decoder built, and it works. So that's my dual op amp. That's my, well, actually it's a quad, but I'm only using half of it, and that's a quad comparator. I'm using 2 channels out of that. This is a nano, and it's driving this LED. So what I got is 4x quadrature decoding here. So I'm getting 4 times the resolution of the 40 microns. I'm not digitizing sine waves, but you can see as I'm moving this, it is actually functioning. And I measured it roughly with a ruler, and yeah, it is accurate. When we get it on the lathe, I will, put a gauge on it and, make sure it's reading right, but cool! Alright, so there's one last look at the hacking and whacking. Basically what we got here is the inputs, differential amplifiers, comparators, and the computer. And that runs out to the display. Alright. Well, today we are going to install this on the lathe and cut it down to the right length. So all I have to do is drill a couple holes in the back here. In order to do that, I'm not going to move the lathe. I'm going to use this handheld drill, and I'm going to make a drilling slant tapping block so I can get things square. So the first thing I'm going to have to do here is, I'll show you the back of the lathe. This is a pretty good place to mount it. So hang on, let me move the camera here. Okay, so in order to get the most access here, I've removed the compound cross-slide stuff off the lathe. And as you can see, I've got some space back here to mount that encoder. So we'll be drilling into this surface here. 2 screws. Got some spacers, 1032, that's what we're going to use to mount this thing up. This is upside down right now. So I don't know how much I'll be able to show you here because it's kind of cramped quarters, but I'll show you as much as I can. This down here is the machine heater. Keeps the bed of the lathe above the dew point temperature so nothing condenses on it. This little block right here is the thermal sensor to close the loop around the heaters. Okay, the encoder is mounted, and let me tell you, it was a horrible job. In order to drill that hole down at the other end, I had to take the motor off. It was a pain in the ass. So all I got to do now is get the reed head here, connect it up to here, and I got a little picture to do it. And the next time I come out in the shop here, we'll make that adapter, and then we should have X travel readout on the DRO up here. Okay, so right here is I've got the encoder mounted to the back here, and it's roughly aligned to the bed of the lathe. I have some adjustments that I'll have to make, but there's slotted holes in it for that. What I got to do now is I've got to make a little adapter that will pick up this reader head right here and connect it up to this part of the apron, or I guess, yeah, this is the saddle, I guess. So anyway, I've got this block of aluminum, and what I'm going to do is mill it out so that it can attach here and basically space out far enough so that a piece of this can go right up there like that. And then I'll just bolt through here and bolt through here. So I got to take a few measurements. This piece is going to sit roughly like this, except, you know, down below so the cross slide can still move. And then we'll notch out a space here for the part that goes down below. Okay, got this scrap hunk of aluminum chucked up here, and I'm going to square it up. 50 thousandths cut. Okay, let's clean up the end here. That's good. So, I'm going to do a little deburn on this, and then I'll turn it over and do the other side. One other thing I'll mention is I've ordered Power Director, which is some editing software, and that'll allow me to do multiple camera angles pretty easy. I tried some of that with a couple of cameras and just trying to stitch them together, you know, but the audio didn't line up right. So bit the bullet. We got some good software on the way here. Make these videos a little easier to watch for you. Well, let's see if 20 thou will clean this side up. Cleaned up nice. Now you'll know your nose properly trimmed if you see that double cross hatch on it. Okay, so I'm just going to square up this other end. Okay, that looks real good on the lathe. So I have to cut another piece now for the down part. The mighty Honda has had an issue. I was riding it today and the foot peg came off. So I built these highway bars like back when I first got this bike, and I didn't even have an electric welder. I just had the acetylene torch, so I brazed on the foot pegs, and yeah, they lasted for 30 years, but now they're kind of toast. So I'm going to take this off of here. Unfortunately, I can't weld it because it's already got brazing on it, so I'm just going to whip out the old acetylene heat wrench and put the peg back on, then paint it up and stick her back on there. Okay, so I have taken the foot peg assembly apart and just going to braze this on here, right in that orientation. I'm going to hit it with the wire wheel here and clean the rust off it, clean the grease off it, and then light up the heat wrench. Okay, here's what I use for brazing rods. It's Harris 15FC flux coated. I got the end all cleaned up as good as I can get it, and we're going to start brazing this puppy on. Alright, here we go. Alright. Looks pretty good. A little paint in action, a little reassembly, and the mighty Honda has been restored to its former self. Good for another 30 years. Here's another Craigslist stock find. We got all the stuff for 50 bucks. Got a piece of 303 stainless, 4.5 inches in diameter, about 4.5 inches long. Got some brass, 660, 5/8 by 1 5/8. Doesn't say what this is, but it's brass too. It's 3 inches in diameter with looks like about, it says 2 by 3 on it. Yeah, that's about a 2-inch hole. A couple more little pieces here. Got some brass rod, some brass plate, some steel hex bar, 1 inch, and I think that's about 5/8. Some aluminum. Yeah, that's all that stuff is 3 inch. This 3 inch. This is 60-61, 2 inch, and then a piece of stainless steel bar stock, 1.5 inches by I'd say 2 feet. Guy threw in a bunch of Delrin too for nothing. This is a 4-inch piece right there. Looks like a 2.5. Another 2.5. So not a bad haul, 50 bucks. This guy had, I mean, thousands of pounds of this stuff up there. Was up in Hillsborough, New Hampshire, and you know, it's like, I don't know, 50 minutes away from here or something. I drove up there, and you know, it was all in huge piles down in this dingy old basement. You know, no lights or nothing. But you know, I'll probably end up going back there and getting some more stuff off him. He didn't seem to care too much about the aluminum. He was pretty much giving that away. And same with the plastic. He didn't care too much about that. The stainless, he was in the brass, he was weighing out on a scale and selling it to me for $2 a pound, which is an insanely good deal. You know, if you're looking for stock, man, Craigslist is the way to go, because there's plenty of people out there that collect drops, and then they figure out that they got too much of the stuff, so they let it go for pretty cheap. You know, this was a piece of 1-inch brass. I thought I had another piece here somewhere. I'll have to look for it. It must have rolled away, but yeah. So that's the Craigslist find of the week here. We'll throw this in the stockpile and use it as needed.